Hello, welcome to a new video. So this one didn't have an intro because originally it was a part of the TB Avatar. But TB Avatar ended up being quite a long video, so I thought I will extract this footage of the wrap-up and put it as a separate video. At the time of filming, obviously, I didn't know I'm going to do this as a separate video. Maybe I would have gone into a little bit more detail if I did. But enjoy a short video for once in a lifetime. Don't get used to it. Hope you enjoy it. We don't go the same places that we used to. As per usual, I'm gonna go a little bit through the books that I was supposed to read in April. I had a standard 5-book TBR, however, 3 were novellas and 2 were bigger books. So it kind of evened out, apart from that I did not get to one of the bigger books. Quite sad that I didn't get to this because I did genuinely want to, but it was yet another rough month and I'm going to be gentle to myself and not grill myself about it. It's just reading. So let's talk about the books that I did manage to read, and even though technically I didn't read that much, I'm actually so happy with April's TBR because I've enjoyed majority of what I've read. I, for once, not to fucking jinx it, but I'm actually in a reading mood. I had 2 5 stars, which is the grand total of 2 5 stars in 2021. So overall, it was a good month. It's not about the quantity, you know? The first book that I read was The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. How do I even describe this? So this is a sci-fi high fantasy where we follow Essen, our main character, who goes through a horrible grieving period from the very beginning. So we are right from the bat really emotionally tackled, and it can be quite hard depending on the topics that you find very sensitive and hard to read and or avoid. So definitely look into trigger warnings. Essen, we learn, is origin. Think of them as earthbenders, but in a little bit of a different way. Earthbending, but for the plates underneath the ground. They are feared and not particularly liked. So we follow Essen, who is now on a mission to find her daughter after losing her son. As well as we follow Damaya, a little girl. She has the same powers and is now being sent away from her family to train. As well as then following Cyanide, who is a woman trying to climb up and rank in a different training facility. I don't want to say too much, and it might sound a little bit vague and weird, but the world building, the emotions, flawed characters that you love and root for and understand their bad decisions so well. The journey, it is a slow book, but it is a new favorite. It absolutely 5-starred its way throughout. There was a little bit of a slumpy bit in like a probably 85% mark. There was an amazing twist that I did see coming, but I found it just as satisfying to see it confirmed. And I cannot wait to learn more about some of the other aspects that we didn't get to see in this one. This is very much of a setup novel for another book, which normally for me doesn't work. Like thinking of The Bear and the Nightingale, I actually DNF'd that book. It was just not working for me, which I also heard is also very much of a setup. But because we got so much character, emotion, just a journey of being a human in a really screwed up human world. Yes, it's a fantasy, but it's obviously always written so you can find familiarity in it, and I think a lot of people will love this so much. One of the new favorites. Read The City We Became by the same author, and I didn't love it as much as I loved this, so I'm so glad that I still tried this one. The next thing I read was To Be Thought If Fortunate by Becky Chambers, one of my favorite authors, so I knew from the bat that I'm going to at least like it, if not love the story. This is a novella, and short stories is not necessarily something I gravitate, and for a reason, because I like to be immersed in a story for a bit longer, and as you might know, beginnings of stories is one of my least favorite thing. Like, I hate 99% of the time, I hate the beginning of books. I want to already know things. I'm impatient that way. And that 1% actually includes this book. It's literally like 2 or 3 books in my lifetime that I was hooked at from page like 3 or 4. And this is one of them. And that is why the tiny slump I had in like 85% mark did not defer it from a 5-star rating. How is it sunny? It's like never sunny here. There's literally like 20-minute window when the sun hits this room and I'm somehow filming it. That's okay, I'm just gonna invade your space a little bit. But yes, to be thought fortunate. This follows a crew that set out to learn about other planets, and this is not to colonize, this is literally to observe or interfere as little as possible. And it's beautiful, it's written so beautifully. I do think it was quite predictable, but I do still think that it did what it set out to do. I not necessarily loved it as much as the Wayfarer stuff, but that could be because it was a short story. Nevertheless, I gave it a 4-star rating. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love her writing, and it reminded me so much just how desperately I should read the rest of the series of The Wayfarers, because I have literally no excuse for not having had done that already. And I've also been on such a sci-fi kick. I literally watched so many shows and a couple of movies, but literally finished seasons and stuff, because I've just been on a sci-fi kick, and I think it all just, the stars aligned, truly. So the next read was the only one that did not hit the mark for me this month, and that was Fireheart Tiger. This was a read, rate, review, book club read, and we were all so excited about it. We were all so excited about it because it sounded amazing, and we already had a chat, and a lot of people felt similarly as well. It just seemed like this little novella tried to do too many things at once. It tried to have a romance, tried to have a complicated romance, and it came out a little bit too tropey with a second chance romance as well as an insta-love romance that made very little sense. It was not fleshed out nicely, as well as a lot of political stuff that just didn't tie in. It seemed like a puzzle that all the pieces were kind of in the right place and you can see the image, but they were just not connected. It felt really scattered. There is a fire elemental, and I think that's the only positive thing that I can really say about it. It was a 2-star. The writing style was not terrible, but that's probably the most positive I can be about that particular side. And there was some character relationships that I did enjoy if it were just a bit more focused, and I would use that excuse of, oh, you know, it's a short story, so maybe there was not enough time, but I feel like then in that case then it maybe needed to be a bit more centered into one particular thing. But who am I to say? Like, I don't know. I have zero talents. This is just my thoughts on it as a reader. It wasn't for me. The next read definitely was. I've actually read this earlier today in the morning, and every morning the way home gets longer and longer. And this is kind of generational, I guess. We have a grandson, a son, and a father. And the father is the eldest, whose perspective we're seeing here. And this is why I don't want to just excuse other short novellas of being, you know, like, oh, you don't have a lot of space to explore things. This zoned in into what it wanted to say and to tell, and said it not only in a way that's accessible, but also in a way that is so painfully beautiful. Genuinely recommend this to every single living, breathing creature that can read. It's so amazingly beautiful. Even I, Miss Never Cries, teared up at the end. Didn't quite shed the tear, but I teared up. I would like that to be on the record. It's amazing. It's just said in such a beautiful way, and it's so carefully presented. Centers the grandfather who is losing his memory. It's so beautiful. Read it. I cannot wait to read more of Beckman. Oh, finally. Can we just talk about the fact that it wasn't overhyped? I was so scared, but it's 100. For me, it was absolutely, it stood up. It's, yes. Obviously did not have an outro either, so thanks so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind. I'll chat to you down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye!